the main stage. We are live. We are live, and good evening, and welcome back to the channel. I'll just do a little check first of all before. Yes, everyone's fine. Sounds fine. Everyone's fine. Who's all in the house this evening? Celtic have put out a statement. Hail, hail Tarmac. Hail, hail Kaiser. Hail, hail Diane. Celtic have put out a statement. God, we're getting as bad as that lot for statements with Celtic just now. I think it's a strange. I can understand why they're doing it. Yo, Kaiser, you want to come on? Yeah, Kaiser, come on and talk about this. Come on and talk about why there was no Brendan Rodgers today, and why Celtic have decided to come out and say that they're against the Super League, even after the European Court says that it's wrong. Personally, I think Celtic might be just shooting themselves in the foot with that one, with the Super League. I can understand it's for the big boys, it's clubs like Celtic that should be aiming for the Super League. Anyway, give me 2 seconds till I just do this. Copy that, and just sending this link. See if he's got time to come on. If not, it's all good in the hood. And that. Right. Right. Good evening, Lanky. How are you this evening, Graham? Evening, Baz from Seamus. How are you? Um, them winning trebles. Big Dom's coming in from London, southeast London. Can't even say that tonight. Jim is in the house. Martin's in the house. Just having my dinner. That's why I'm late, because we went to get a takeaway and it took 40 minutes to get the takeaway. So that's why I'm late this evening. But you can listen in anyway. Brendan's not up for the fight. Where was Brendan Rodgers today? Will Brendan Rodgers be doing a press conference tomorrow? It's an unusual one. That's 2 weeks in a row that he's never done the press conference. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to go through the statement from Celtic that Celtic put out this afternoon. Celtic Football Club has noted today's judgment delivered by the European Court of Justice. The resolution regarding the framework for prior authorisation of competitions refers to an outdated UEFA statutes and were already amended in June 2022. We must be clear that this does not in any way endorse or approve the so-called Super League project. Celtic plays an important Jesus. Celtic plays an important leading role within the European Club Association framework. No, Longwell's got a job there, and that's why he's backing his. Anyway, it goes on to say that the club, we are fully committed to working through the European thing alongside our fellow European clubs to uphold the values that define European football. We can only achieve our objectives through strong partnership in the ECA, which enjoys UEFA. The wider European football community is not supportive of the European Super League. Celtic, like many other clubs, will continue to promote the interest and the protection of football's broader family in UEFA. Now, that all comes. I'm going to go on a friggin' rant tonight, bugger it. And that all comes from the season. I'm reading a comment there. I'm going to try and find out. I'll find out. I'll ask about the Green Brigade. Give me 2 minutes to do this first. Anyway, I think that statement, Angelo, you've not missed nothing. That statement, yeah, Kaiser, you've got that right. That statement came straight from Lawwell's desk. You've got to remember that Peter Lawwell has a position on the board on the European Football Club Association. All right. Of course, he's going to be against the Super League. For me, it's clubs like Ajax, it's clubs like Copenhagen, it's even clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus that are all wanting this European Super League to get the money spread out more evenly within Europe and European football. I think Peter Lawwell is looking after his own self, coming out with that statement. I think going forward, there has to be changes at European level. There has to be changes. Obviously, the Champions League is changing changing its format next year. It's going to more a league format. Well, it's going to a league format. You're going to be playing more games. When it comes to the European Super League, it was all about the fact that clubs in Europe are sick to death of the way the Champions League run. They're sick to death with England being pumped up and backed by Sky Television and getting unsustainable TV deals, and clubs in England having unsustainable budgets. And let's face it, when you get a parachute payment of over 100 odd million the first year and then 25 million every year after that, it's absolutely ridiculous. Peter Lawwell putting out that statement today, as soon as the court judgment came out, was absolutely ridiculous. And it's just making sure that he keeps his job at the top table. And I think we all know that he's on that board. He's admitted that he's on that board. And it's just unbelievable. Anyway, that's done with that. We've done that. Lawwell has to resign due to conflict of interest. I don't think he has to resign due to it, but we're Toxic FC, not Celtic Football Club. Yeah, I think we are. And anyway, right, I've put on a 10-minute timer tonight for any new subscribers, just because we did get bombarded with the other lot the last couple of ones. So if they do come on tonight, they've had to wait 10 minutes. They've had to wait 10 minutes before they could talk. Anyway, I've just watched the press conference with Liam Scales. And again, for the second week in a row, there was no manager. If you remember last week at the press conference, it was John Kennedy that did the presser last week. This week, Liam Scales was rolled out, and the press are obviously going to ask about how the players are feeling. And as far as Liam Scales is concerned, the players are kind of over it already. They know that the players know that if they win all their games between now and the end of the season, they'll win the league, and they've still a chance of the Scottish Cup. When it comes to how the players feel about the manager saying, do you know, we don't have the quality in the squad, Liam Scales says it hurts. Do you know, it hurts when we have to make sure that is put right. And I've been saying for a couple of days now, I think Brendan Rodgers is using the wrong language when it comes to talking about the players, saying that there's not the quality there. I think wrong from the manager, and I don't want to start having a dig at him, but he's heading that way that if things go against Brendan Rodgers between now and the turn of the year, it's going to make things very, very interesting. Very, very interesting come the transfer window. Brendan Rodgers saying that we do not have the quality is far too wrong. Liam Scales said that when Brendan Rodgers talks about maybe having to nip into the transfer market to bring things in, Liam Scales says, look, that's up to the manager. But he thinks that the quality in the squad and the depth of the squad is fantastic. And it's there. He then went on to say that, look, we haven't performed to the levels that we can. We all know this. We see this week in, week out. We know that the squad are not hitting the dizzy heights that they've hit in the last couple of seasons. But the manager saying that we don't have the quality is telling those players in public that they're not good enough. And I think it's a big one. It's a big one from Brendan. It's a big shout, and I think he will get questioned with it. But why was he not at the presser today? We don't know. Maybe his throat's still sore. He did have a sore throat a couple of weeks ago. Surely he's got over that. Surely. Anyway, Mr. Desmond has a lot more to answer for by reappointing Brendan Rodgers, who clearly wanted to take a sabbatical study for football for a year or two. Now, Kenneth, I totally get you with that. Brendan did say in public that he was going to take a year out of football after getting left. Quality can always be improved, says GMAC. Quality can be improved, but Scales also said that there's no bad blood in the dressing room. What a strange one for me. Why say it? I don't think that is bad blood. I think it's more the fact that when you're a manager in any industry, when a manager, when your boss turns around and say, "Look, I don't think that we've got the right quality on the squad." Right, my mates all work on the building sites back home. My mates work on the building sites back home, and if somebody's not putting their leg, they're not going to turn around and like, we've not got the quality for this job. Um, we've got a young labourer in, and we've just not got the quality. No, it's experience. It's experience. The word that you should be using is experience. We don't have the experience to bring on the younger players, and that's what it comes down to. Brendan Rodgers has been. I'm not going to start having a dig at him because we need to make sure that we back the manager, back the team for the next couple of games to make sure that we get over the line into the new year. Getting into the new year, and that's paramount that we come out and we put on a fantastic performance this weekend. Was Brendan Rodgers staying away from the media today to make sure that he's not asked difficult questions? Because let's face it, the media are going to come from the people that go to these press conferences have a right to say, are the players backing you? Do the players have your back? Because I think anyway, we still beat the Sevco on the 30th. Chilpo says, "Where's Michael tonight?" I want to know if he's done his scouting job. Rumours are rumours. Not all of them are true, Shell. Yeah, this is true. Anyway, the Celtic statement, going back to the Celtic statement, I mean, that was just got Peter Lawwell written all over it. He does like a little statement or two. Give me 2 seconds because someone was asking about the Green Brigade, and I'm going to try and do this whilst I'm live. What's Give me 2 seconds. I'll go to WhatsApp. Doesn't wait for great watching, but wait a minute, as right. Sorry about that. I'm just asking some of the guys if there's any truth with the ticket situation with the Green Brigade, and let's hope that they get back to us during the next hour or so during the live. So anyway, Scales is clearly stating that the players' point of view on what has been said on social media, and the statement on the Super League means nothing. Public lip service. It is, Martin, but I think it's pretty disappointing for the club to come out and I think it's probably the best way forward for Celtic to join something like the Super League. And anything, nothing's going to come with this Super League thing in the next year. It's going to take a couple of years for that to take off. But in that time, Celtic have got to try and win the league and make sure that they stay in the Champions League, because the Champions League, you're going to get 60 million for it. Anyway, move on from that. I'm going to have a quick run through, and there's a guy on a Celtic transfer shortlist. Can't even say it tonight. Romeo Armain. Who is this? Celtic are considering a move for hacking midfield player Romeo Armain. The Ivorian 20-year-old has been watched by scouts at Celtic Park, who took in a clash with Karabakh last week in the Europa League. The attacking midfield player played the full 90 minutes and was narrowly beaten by Azerbaijan. Celtic would be expected to pay around about £3 million for the 20-year-old. I thought we weren't getting in project players. Thought we were going for players with experience or better quality. If we go into this transfer window and we start buying players that are 20-year-old that are supposedly better quality, what does it say to the young players that we've sent out on loan? It's mind-boggling if we have seriously been linked with a 20-year-old attacking midfield player. Low-level scouts within Parkhead recruitment staff have watched footage on Armain. They saw he was fast-tracked up the shortlist of closer look among decision makers. That is just unbelievable. If it is true, he's going to have to be some player for a 20-year-old to come into this Celtic team. It's a Celtic all over, man. What is happening to the club right now? What is happening? Since Peter Lawwell came back in January, he's overseen the fact that Ange left the building. Jota was sold for 25 million. Carl Starfelt was allowed to go to be with his missus. Aaron Moy retired. And we brought in 9 players that aren't fit for, according to some staff inside Celtic Park. For it to get leaked out of Celtic, that Gustav Lagerbielke is not the required standard is disappointing for me. For me, it's disappointing. Angelo, for $20 for that. You're in Australia. Is that right? Or am I wrong? Yeah, it's Australian dollars. Yeah. Thank you for that. Happy Christmas, Baz. Thanks for the crack this year. We're not going away. Don't worry. We don't do walking away here. We've been here since 2010, and we're going to keep on going. The channel has been here that long, although you wouldn't think it. Let's get to some of the comments. Oh, look. C-Sense has got... C-Sense must be a new zombie. He's waited the whole 10 minutes. And guess what, C-Sense? You are about to get hidden from the channel. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for waiting 10 minutes before you could comment. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for waiting. That's the really worst thing about it. Is people come in and wait 10 minutes to comment. It's mad. Anyway, we move on for that. Is it right that Celtic, they never leak new signings? They don't. Yeah, you're right. I think the fact that we're looking to shift Lagerbielke, even though he looks quite good, even though that he scored a header, for goodness sake, and he scored a goal that give us a bit of respect in the Champions League. Give the boy a chance, as far as I'm concerned. Apparently, Lawwell Jr. signed Gustav on the recommendation of Gustav's agent. Surely Lawwell Jr. would do his due diligence on any players, and he'll only accept players that went through the whole scouting system. Because if they don't, we're now no longer a club, we're a family concern. That's the whole reason that people started shouting, sack the boards back in the 1990s, because Celtic was just a family concern. It was a family monopoly. We've turned into a family monopoly again. We've walked back into the dark old days of family monopolies controlling what goes on at Celtic Park. And I've got to apologise, because we did a video and we spoke about 2 guys that own... They're the second and third biggest shareholders at Celtic. 2 Scottish guys. One owning £16 million worth of shares in Celtic. And they're not on the board, neither of these guys. What's their agenda? Is it to make sure that no one family can take over, well, pretty much one family? Or is he friends of Desmond Dermott? Is he friends? Anyway. I read it in the mail. Read what in the mail? Let's get some of the comments up, because it is all about what goes on in the comment section on the channel. Joseph says, I don't understand why Lager is going. I don't understand it either. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I think if we're really being linked with a 20-year-old for 3 million, a move for hacking midfield player, I mean, it's coming out in the Scottish football website, so they're pretty spot on with some stuff. They're way off the mark with other stuff. But lower level scouts within Parkhead recruitment staff have watched footage. So they've not went and seen them and feel... This is what gets to me, man. Seriously, you can go on YouTube. And you can see that there was a Celtic goalkeeper who was absolutely amazing. He came for Celtic. We bought him for £4.5 million, then we let him go for free. If Celtic are just going by footage, we're in a bad way at Celtic. The scouting system has absolutely went to pot. Right. Anyway, I'm going to just double check the... no, I'm not. I'm going to go back here and check. Brendan Rodgers accused of going through the motions as Celtic's shadow of Angie's side. Liam Scales says that players need to brush up after Rodgers' criticism. Liam Scales admit Brendan Rodgers' criticisms in recent weeks has hurt the players. Chris Sutton rejects Celtic excuse as he questions Brendan Rodgers. I'm starting to see a turn in the tide. I am starting to see a turn in the tide of the chance that Brendan Rodgers is getting. I'm starting to see a change. And the Governor Emerald is in the house. One of the best buses in Scotland, as they know. It's one of the maddest. Remember the time the Governor, you'll know this if you were on the bus at that time. Remember when Chris Commons' wife got the bus up to Aberdeen away, and we were in the pub at Aberdeen away, and she got on top of the pool table. She got on top of the pool table and shouted, "Don't tell Chris about this." And then out pops about 20 mobile phones recording it straight away. They were the days. That was brilliant. And I'm sure it was your bus that she was on that day. Anyway, Lager wanting out. Anyone know exactly what's happening? We've no idea. I want Cudson in January. Mateus, will we get him? I don't know. It's going to be the case that we're going into the January transfer window. And I think we're actually going into the January transfer window with a hope and a prayer. That's what it feels like. Brendan has said, great day, the tall cranes. It was that. It was a fantastic day. It was brilliant. That was brilliant. It was some laugh. I remember because at that time, you're still, the Aberdeen fans were still on the other side of the bar, remember? Because it had it in two sections. We had what would be the lounge with the pool table, and they had fans in another bar. It was brilliant days. Anyway, and Brendan, I trust for now, says Diane. Just going by the headlines that I'm looking at, I'm starting to get a feeling that there is a bit of a tide turning against the goodwill that the Celtic managers have. Chris Sutton reckons that Brendan Rodgers is going through the motions during his second spell at charge at the club. If he is, he needs chased out the door as quick as. Celtic have lost the last two games. That's the first time in 10 years. Excuse me, the first time in 10 years. And the gap has been cut from 8 to 2 points. Sutton did not hold back when he assessed Celtic's season so far. He told the It's All Kicking Off podcast, he said, at the moment, this Celtic team are disjointed and going through the motions. There's a fair argument to suggest Brendan Rodgers has been going through the motions this season. I was also, before I'm going to go into that, right? Do you think, right, Brendan Rodgers was chased out of Celtic, whether you like it or not? A lot of people will say he left. I know that there's not many people know the facts, but there is quite a lot of people know the facts. But after the whole McGinn scenario, Brendan turned around and he told Peter Lawwell that he was going to leave the next summer. And then, as it transpires, Leicester come in for him. And he had no interest at that time in going to Leicester. And this even comes from the one and only Danny McGrain. And I've got that video on YouTube here somewhere as well. When Danny McGrain said that, look, he said he didn't want to go. Peter Lawwell seen the 10 million. Peter Lawwell he'd seen the 10 million compensation from Leicester. And then he basically told Brendan that he was to get his coat, and that was him. Do you think that Brendan Rodgers is coming back and wanting to get a bit of revenge on Peter Lawwell? I'm just putting it out there. Do you think that he's coming back and he is a Celtic man and he's going to try as well? He's not going to try his hardest because he's definitely not doing that. But it's just something that's been kicking around in the back of my head. Just to think that, do you think that he signed this 3-year contract? He was never on a 3-year contract before when he was at Celtic. He was never on he was on a rolling contract. He came back to that 3-year contract and he went, bugger it, I'm just going to take them for what they are after what he did to me and what he put me through with the fans, making it look as if I wanted to walk away to money. Anyway, back to Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton says, I also think the words he used after the Hearts game in the interview is all about the lacking of passion and desire is now his responsibility as a manager to put out a motivated team. And it is. It's and Chris Sutton's right out there. He's the man that is in charge, and he has to put out the team that is most motivated. If he's not seeing that motivation on the training pitch, you can understand why he's coming out and saying that they don't have the quality. But to say that in public is something else. Chris Sutton went on to then say, said, I think he has to take far greater share of the blame and far greater responsibility than he has done. There's a lot of mud flying around at the board and certain sections of support that have not been allowed back into the stadium. People can also use excuses, but the fact of the matter is the team has not performed on the pitch this season as well as they should have done. Chris Sutton then goes on to say it's taken a bit of a different situation because and Postecoglou's team were fast and furious. This season under Brendan Rodgers, it's been flat. Celtic weren't prepared for the Champions League, and Chris Sutton has been banging on about this for weeks. Chris Sutton says that the Celtic weren't prepared for the Champions League. They should have been. Rangers won the first trophy of the season. Brendan can't live on his past records, but certainly not for long. There's a bulk of the support haven't been fooled by the nature of the performances this season. There is a chance that he can put things right. And whilst Sutton has sympathy for the Celtic fans in Europe, he feels that Brendan Rodgers should be getting much more out of the squad domestically. But the excuses about not having enough quality players, there's only a couple of players different from Ange Postecoglou's team when you look at it. He's brought in 8 new players. Only one played against Hearts, Lewis Palmer. So Brendan can't use that excuse. He should be getting more out of the players, more out of the team. That is the bottom line, says the one and only Chris Sutton. Tell me what you think about that. Tell me what you think about that, because I think Chris Sutton's pretty... the Celtic email going about that the Green Brigade are fake. Yeah, I thought it would be. And they wouldn't ban them permanently anyway. What they've done is they've reduced the numbers that much. They're trying to make it hard for people to want to come back. Right, let's get back to some of the comments from the chat. Brendan is old hat, is that. Kenneth says, Baz, there should be a rule that Celtic Football Club, you only get one time to manage the club. I'm going to say no, because if you look back to the 80s, there was a time a lot of you on this channel might not have been born, but there was a time that we had managers came back and they went away and came back, and we did okay then. We did okay. We did the double in the centenary year. We had the manager that came back. So modern day, I think you're right. Modern day, a manager should only be given one shot at the club, and then we move on and we evolve as a team. I think one of the problems that we do have at Celtic right now is the fact that we're so insistent in keeping the backroom staff. I think that it's maybe got to a stage where some of the backroom staff have got too comfortable. It'll be interesting to see if we lose one of those backroom staff in the next couple of weeks, because looks like he might take that job on offer in Japan. So that'll be interesting to see. Parkhead needs to be bouncing on Saturday, whether the Green Brigade are there or not, says Jim. Jim, I have been saying this for weeks, but unfortunately, the fans are not listening to this video for starters. The fans aren't partaking in singing the songs to the level that we would expect a Celtic Park to be. And I kind of think there's people sitting in the stadium and they must be looking around and go, and if you start singing, folk are like, shut up. What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? And people are scared to get tagged with the same brush as the Green Brigade. Michael Ross, you always get it right, Michael. Billy McNeil. Yes, Billy McNeil played, he managed Celtic twice, and he was quite successful as well as a manager. Hail Caesar, Celtic captain. Should it be the fact that Celtic captains should only get one shot at the title? One shot at the title. Well, when I mean one shot at the title, they get to win as many titles as they want. 9 would be really good, but yes, they should only be manager of Celtic once. I think in the modern game, you do need that little bit of refreshment within a team sometimes. Although some managers can go out and spend ridiculous amounts of money, and my comments are being sniped. Why? Are they pork chops? They've been cut off? I don't think so. I've never seen them. Let's get Kaiser's comment up. Just play the train Andrew, Brendan, John Kennedy there. Yeah. Michael Ross is too quick. Oh, agreed. Well said, Jim. What did Jim say? I'm missing it. Something. Yeah, he did. Parkhead. Yes, it does. It does. Parkhead needs to be bouncing this weekend, and I think, especially when you can hear. Listen, when you can hear a guy standing up in the main stand shouting at the board, and it can be easily heard around the whole stadium. And for numerous people to then get out their phones and zoom in, with the quality phones these days, you can zoom in and you can almost see the guy getting. Well, you can see him getting carted out. It'll be interesting to see if he gets a ban for a couple of weeks, or if he was pulled into Celtic Park to talk to the club about his issues. That would be interesting to find out. There's only one King Billy, and that is Mick Neal. Lawwell won't let the Green Brigade back. Yeah, you know it. Lawwell's had it in for the boys and the Green Brigade for ages. Anyway, coaches leaving players don't want to play for the manager. Lawwell's basket case for the club. It is that. Lonas is the number 7, quite similar to the style of GG, the grumpy Greek striker. The grumpy Greek that wanted away from Celtic because he wasn't getting enough game time. I'm going to turn that light down a bit because I'm looking there. That's a bit more my natural colour. Yeah, there's 264 people on the live just now, and there is. I need to refresh the page to get the thumbs up. How many thumbs up is there? 64. So make sure that you give the video a thumbs up also. Right, let's get back to some Celtic news and some Celtic headlines after Chris Sutton basically saying that the manager has to take some responsibility. And I fully back Chris Sutton with that. Totally backs it. The other Celtic headline that will be coming out, obviously, tomorrow morning is Celtic put out a statement that rejects breakaway talks and the European Super League. A European Super League that might have seen Celtic go directly into a league format, which they were then playing in on a monthly and yearly basis, to have a higher amount of money, and your league would basically become like a Scottish Cup. And for me, that would be fantastic. Anyway, the latest Green Brigade rumour has been quashed by Celtic. The little Colin boys, Brendan Rodgers, no Brendan Rodgers, Lawwell's, I can't say that. Lawwell's man on the inside said there's an email doing the rounds today that purports to show that the correspondence from Celtic to members of the Ultras states that the Green Brigade members have now had their season tickets permanently revoked. The club denies it. Apparently, this is a result of the Green Brigade failing to reach a compromise with the club. Here's the email that's been done around. No, I'm not interested. And that's not the email that you would use anyway. Railseating at Celtic.co.uk. Unless they've changed it, but it was never the email address. So for me, that's what flags that one up. Is the email address is all wrong on the letter. Haven't had letters for that section myself. Anyway, surely without the Green Brigade against the Huns should manage an atmosphere. We couldn't manage an atmosphere in Europe for most games. To try and manage a decent atmosphere against them with no fans, I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't. It's a hard one. O hasn't been given a chance fully per goal per minute. He's better than Kyogo this season. Kyogo's having a really bad season. I mean, that's a talk for a whole different video. That's a video on its own. Is what is really wrong with Kyogo. We've got time. We've got plenty of time tonight. We'll talk about it. Super League is the only way that will allow the B team to get promotion into the SPFL. Exactly, Kaiser. That would be the best way to go. Just play our B team in the league, and bring back the 70s and 80s Parkhead. It was bouncing, no Green Brigade, just us. Yep, and there was also fighting. There was also pitch invasion. There was all sorts of nonsense. There was peeing up the back of the stadium and then you watched it run down the back. Bring back the atmosphere from then, but yeah, I think modern stadiums is a bit better, and I think Celtic Park needs a bit of an upgrade. Anyway, it's over 20-year-old now, so It is time for it to get a little spruce up. We need the Green Brigade, saying some people. Decent crowd and here tonight. Yes, Paul, the Rollins a decent crowd. The lives are getting better, which is fantastic. Rogers is in Last Chance Saloon, says Chilpill. Rogers in Last Chance Saloon. Is he in Last Chance Saloon? Is it the fact that I will say if we drop any more points, for it being the first time in 10 years that we've dropped points at this time of year, 2 consecutive games, we've lost 2 consecutive games, first time in 10 years. For me, it's important that we go out and get a win and put on a good performance. And if we can't put on a good performance, they're going to sit back. You know what they're going to do. I mean, but they're bottom of the league. Celtic really need to go out and score a bucket load of goals. Where is the table? Let's get the table up because I don't have the table. No, I didn't want to look at the table because they've closed the gap. So yeah, well, we do have Livingston this weekend. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff at Celtic Park. What will the score be? We'll wait on that. What night is it? It's Thursday. We'll do that. We'll do that tonight. Actually, yeah, we'll do it tonight. What do you think the score will be on the weekend? Celtic against Livingston. Livingston that are rooted bottom of the table, and without the Green Brigade, it's like sitting at a library. Yes, and I've said this for weeks. I said this before the Green Brigade actually left or booted out. I said it. Look, Stuart says he doesn't want a Super League. We'll be embarrassed, especially with Lawwell and Rogers in charge. I don't think that Rogers would be in charge the time that the Super League gets started because it will take more than 2 years to get it off the ground. And Rogers won't be here then. His time will have came and gone. Definitely came and gone. His 3 years might have been done and dusted, and we might be sitting saying, look, he was successful. He won 3 trophies, and it was leagues. Kenneth says, Baz, I have a bad feeling about the next 4 games. I think Brendan will leave by mutual consent at the start of the year. Oh, I'm going to change the colour of the light. It's let's get the disco lights on. I don't think that'll happen. I definitely hope it doesn't happen. But I can understand your frustration. I can understand the fans are a bit bemused and disappointed and flabbergasted by the way that the team has went downhill so fast, so fast. All when you look at it from a kind of football perspective and historically, when this type of thing does happen, it tends to. We're not even going down that road. Calm. It is 2 games. It's 2 games. I'm sure with a little change of formation and Brendan working his magic, and maybe Brendan's right for staying away from the press conferences. Let's do our talking on the pitch. Maybe that's they know that they have to put out people for a press conference for a league game, and maybe they've just went right. Let's put out a player. Let's put out skills that can talk about a sense that won't stab me in the back. Let's put out a player that trusts that I have his trust and he has my trust, and we'll see what happens from there. And then let's go out. Let's get the win. They'll then have the break for Christmas Day. There'll be a press conference Christmas Eve, I would have thought, for the Boxing Day game. It'll be interesting to see who goes for that. And then I think Brendan will come back onto the scene and do a press conference before the Sevco game. And hopefully we'll have a couple of points in the back and we'll have a bit of momentum back in the team. Because I think it's unusual that you would go to and win in Europe like we did and be so convincing. A lot of people are saying, look, it doesn't matter. It was a dead rubber game. And you tell that to the club across the city who won the dead rubber game at the end of the last season. Of course, that Champions League was not just a dead rubber game. It was all about making sure that we got more points than we did last season. We did that. It was proven to these players that they can do it at the higher level. For me, that was my takeaway from the Champions League win. And as important as it was heads up, heads high. But then they let themselves down the very next game. And that is where you get really pounded on at Celtic. Right, let's get some of the scores for the game this weekend. Stephen's first up. He's going for 4-0. Big Dom's going for 2-0. Daniel is going for 3-0. 1-0. Livy, nothing changes for me. Yep. 1-0 to Livy. Graham Hardy, he says, anyone think that Kyogo is down tools a bit? He doesn't look half the player that he was. last year. He's going for 5-1 Celtic. It's a difficult one with Kyogo because he was obviously an Ange Postecoglou player, and everyone that I've spoke to, I mean, we've got family in Australia, and everyone that I've spoke to, my good missus, about Ange Postecoglou said that he was always going to use Celtic as a stepping stone. It's what he's done his whole career. He was never going to stick around forever. He was always going to use Celtic as a stepping stone, and we should have realised that very early on. But we didn't. We didn't. We hoped. Even Martin O'Neill asking Ange to stay live on TV after the cup final when he already knew that he was off. He already knew. Let's face it. Anyway, Jamesy Boy is going 2-1. I just want a victory, says Mike. Paul Emery, he's going for 4-0. Who really cares? Says 1-0. Smell of Glove says 2-1. The last minute goal. Jeez. Don't say that. Could you imagine the atmosphere if there's no Green Brigade and we're going into the 90th minute with it being 1-1 against the team at the bottom of the league? If that was to happen, that would take me back to a night where we played St Mirren in Paisley. And then the very next day we sacked a manager. I think it would be of that important if we, Joe says we only need one. We only need to win the league by 1 point. This is true. This is true. We only need to win the league by 1 point this year. It's going to be close. And we've all wanted the league to be a bit better. We don't want teams to sit back and defend for 90 minutes. It'll be interesting to see if teams now think, look, this Celtic team, they're not the same Celtic team as what Brendan Rodgers had the last time. They're not the Celtic team under Ange Postecoglou. They're not as fast. They're there for the taking. If you have a go at the Celtic team, you can beat them. From a Celtic point of view, the players need to get back and get their big boy pants on and get doing it back on the pitch. Porkchop, he says, Martin Laimé, players, we can't create an atmosphere versus them. Then please ditch the best fans in the world stuff. Michael, I've never said that for a while because I think ever since 22, the fan base has changed over the years. The fan base, I've seen the fan base change over the years. Until I was here a year and a half until I gave up my season ticket. One of them. We still have 2 season tickets. At one point, I had 5 season tickets in my name, but the kids grew up and everything. So anyway, but I've seen massive changes over the Celtic support, and there is a big part of the support that just want to sit down and watch football. They see it as an entertainment. They don't see it as working class fans did back in the day. Do you know, during the 80s casual era or back in when stadiums were all standing. There has been a change in the way that Celtic fans are, but let's come out fighting for the next 3 or 4 games and show the team that us in the stands are wanting you to just go forward and win no matter what. Do you know, and when it can intimidate players, and I think it's intimidating the players when they're playing a game of football and they know that when the stadium erupts and it's shouting everybody forward, it gives you that 2 or 3 steps quicker. It gives you that 2 or 3 yards of pace up your jacksie that you never get because you feel the fear of letting these fans down. And now the fans are let down. They feel the fear even more because the manager is saying they don't have the quality. The fans are the only ones that can change Celtic. The fans are the only ones that can make the team better. The fans are the only ones who can push the team forward. I've seen it done many a time at Celtic Park. Many times. The buzz that players get. The buzz. We need to create that. The players need a boost, and we need to give them that boost. Anyway, John Paul says 4-0 easy. We'll come out fighting. I hope so. Chilwell says we have better players than Sevco. Fact. I think so, and I think we do have enough to win the league also. Helen's come in and said 3-0 Celtic. Jim is saying 4-0. We need a good win. Natalie, we need more than a good win. We need a good performance, a good win, and a little morale boost. And we need the fans from the very first minute to just Do you know when if the Green Brigade and the boys aren't there this weekend, we need some section of the fans just to get up and start singing. It's as simple as that. We need to show this team a bit of love because they're not getting the love from the manager. The start of the season, Brendan Rodgers was all, yeah, I talk to the players, I put my arms around them, I want to get to know them, I want to, know everything about their life. These players haven't got the quality. If my boss, I would have floored them. I would have floored them. They got sacked. Anyway, Simon's going for 3-0, 4-0. The team says Martin will take a win regardless. Tarmac is in stitches, so is Kaiser. The Green Brigade season tickets vote permanently. They're gone. No, they're not. No, they're not. Anyway, David, stop reading nonsense online. They're not, and I'm still waiting for confirmation. And here we go. No, it's not confirmation. Just see that. It's been read by a couple, but not the ones that I want to read it. Ones that would give me the right answer. Lowell's always to blame. I've already said, Santa, please bring us a new keeper for Christmas. All I want for Christmas is a new keeper. Santa's apparently not talking to us. Who cares? Anyway, Michael Ross says, I actually think it's not Brendan, but that's boom. It's a clone. Brendan's been held in prisoners. That one was an OnlyFans like Buzz. What? What? OnlyFans like? What like? The red one. That was Buzz's OnlyFans. I'm not on OnlyFans to get paid for that. Good money. So you can start an OnlyFans. Fucking, where's this conversation going? So you can start an OnlyFans page talking about Celtic. Or is it just all boobies and ass? Anyway, I have no idea. I've never even been on it. Ian Adams says, lucky if we win one game out of the next 4. Stuart Ramsey says they don't have a clue what the score will be on Saturday because I don't know what Celtic will turn up. Yeah, you're probably right. Better than the disco lights of the club paid 4 million for. Yeah, that was only 50 quid for these. It's brilliant. Best thing ever. It's OnlyFans. All right. Behind us. Who's behind us? Anyway, move on. Just put Strachan's laptop for press conferences. Yeah. Please wear your Santa suit. Next live, wear a Santa suit. No chance. I'm not wearing a Santa suit on a live. I chucked it out though. I did have a T-shirt that we had last year, and it was Ange Postecoglou in a Santa suit with a green hat, but that got binned as soon as he left. I know I'm a bad man, bad loser. So Baz, if you lose the 3 games, you're still kissing Rodgers' ass. No, I'm not. And I've already said, if you rewind this back, I said the tide is turning. The tide is turning on Brendan Rodgers. I'm starting to see that in a lot of the headlines. I'm getting that feeling myself. You know, if I even bring Chris Sutton to come out and say, Brendan Rodgers is going through the motions. Maybe Brendan Rodgers is going through the motions. Maybe Brendan Rodgers went, do you know what? I'll take the 3-year deal. I'll take the big money. And it's a big get it up you to that fat Lowell for doing what he did the last time. And then making it out it was me that wanted to leave. We all know what happened. Convincing. You know, it's finally played us off the park. Passed us off the park. We beat them. What has changed since Kelly Hearts game to change the decline in form? Nothing. I'm 62 Baz and I've seen some good, bad and great results. Both teams. What is going on? They can't keep bringing in so-called project players. Yes. I am totally with you on that. I'm of an age where I've seen a lot of heartbreak with Celtic, and the 90s was absolutely terrible for us. Absolutely terrible. The 80s was okay. We did have really rubbish results in Europe, but it was a competitive time in Scottish football. For Celtic to have achieved what they did during that time when Aberdeen were doing fantastically well in Europe, when Dundee United were beating Barcelona, in the 80s, Celtic were still managing to win league titles back then when it was really competitive. So what then happened in 1989 with the team across the city changed Scottish football forever. And it's never adapted. Scottish football has never adapted. And I think that's the disappointment. But Natalie's going for 3-0. Good question, Steve. What was Stephen's question? Let me see if I could find it. What was the last time that the Rangers beat us when it mattered? That was a cup game. Cup game 2017 or something. 20, I can't remember what year it was. But yeah, it was a cup game. They beat us in the cup. And then they went on to get beat by Hibs, remember? Yeah, it was a cup. They beat us in the cup, and then they went on to play Hibs in the cup, and Hibs beat Rangers in the cup, which was a fantastic result for the Hibees. It was probably the last time that Hibees turned up against anyone. Mrs. Lowell to touch the house, Pedro's turkey. Natalie's going for 3-0. Who cares? Says, I think we are a point worse off than the COVID season. A poor 1-0 win. Everyone keeps going back to the COVID season. I think I don't see the point in going back that far because the team is completely different. And the COVID season had so many factors that you have to add in. You've got players that didn't want to be there, players that were told were going to be sold the season before, but then they couldn't get sold because of the restrictions. So the COVID season was an accumulation of factors that went against us that season. So we're not in that position now. There wasn't, I mean, Brendan Rodgers did come in at the start of this season and he said, look, some of these players wanted to leave, but I talked them into staying. And then you told them they've not got the quality. Or is that the new players that he's having to dig it? Anyway, just be happy with the win. Says Liam. Kyogo was not getting any service. That's true. Kyogo signed another 5-year deal after Ange left. Exactly. So what is the difference between signing that deal at the beginning of the campaign to now? James says he's missing Hatate big time. I think so. Kyogo to hit 3 this weekend. Yeah, I'll take that all day long. Take that all day long. Kyogo is going to end up leaving because of Rodgers. Well, if he does, he's got 4 years left on his contract, so it's going to be good money that's going to have to take him. We should play 3-5-2 and swamp teams in the forward area. Yeah, teams camping area. I think playing a 3-5-2 would only make teams sit back even more, Kaiser, when you think about it. We need to play a system that we can pull teams out and let them think that they're going to play attacking football. So, yeah. We need to remember they said they would get pumped a pound for every time they got beat. Andrew says, all I'm saying is sack the board and the managers because he's this team. Yeah, so it is annoying the fans. It is annoying the fans. And let's jump through some of the comments. Common denominator, Sean Boy says. Common denominator is Peter Lawwell and Brendan Rodgers. Not going in front of the cameras is self-defence against having to tell lies on behalf of the board for that Torag Peter Lawwell. I'm not going to disagree with you with that one. And let's just see what the video is doing. It is, it's only saying 64. I need to update this. 2 seconds. We're on 96 thumbs up. We've got 253 people still on the live. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up because we'll try and hit 200 on this video tonight. So we have spoken about quite a few things tonight. We've spoke about Peter Lawwell. Remembering the fact that Peter Lawwell is on the board of a European club association. He is on the board for that. Hence the reason that Celtic were so quick off the mark putting down a European Super League. For me, I think it's probably the worst thing that he could have done, but never mind. He needs to protect his little seat on the board in the European football community. Rodgers needs 9 points from the next 3 games, or he's going to have the fans right on his back. Estepona boys in the house, cracking part of the country. Dundee game will be tougher than Sevco, he says, on Boxing Day. The Dundee riot. The Dundee riot. The government bus will remember that being all over the papers. The last time that we played Dundee on a Boxing Day, it was deemed the Dundee riot. Celtic fans riot in Dundee. There was no such riot, but it was all good fun. Rodgers needs 9 points. He does that. Maida. Let's talk about the team. Because Mikey Johnston, if Mikey Johnston gets on that pitch today, I'm going to say it now. The manager has lost the plot. If he plays Mikey Johnson before Dyson Maeda at the weekend, it's I wouldn't say it's sugary peg time, but it's basically hold my pint time for Brendan Rodgers. Um, that's all I'm going to say of that. Imagine Pat Paradise screaming sack the board for 40 minutes. After the game, I think that wouldn't happen, Kaiser, because there's too many of our. Well, it could happen, but then all it takes is some buses to go. Oh, we need to go out and beat the traffic. Cars leave early. In the good old days when we had before they knocked down all the flats and built the roads, when we had the big car park there with the big bus park back in the old days, when all the buses were together, I think you could get a bit of cohesiveness between the buses. And if all the buses were saying, no, we're standing firm, I think that's kind of lost in this in the modern football age. And there is a lot of communications between bus conveners still to this day. I mean, when I was bus convener, that's how we sorted out all the pubs that we used to go to before games. It was all done through, other clubs. Because the fact that so many fans do take their cars and they don't travel in mass numbers, you see them all sneaking out trying to get to their cars to beat the traffic. I don't think you would get a big majority like that. You maybe get about 10,000 or something, but you're not going to get other ones that stay outside Glasgow. They're like, yeah, I'm wanting away. They're not interested. They're the ones that don't sing during games as well. And there's just no disrespect to them. They paid their money. Do you know what I mean? They paid their money. They're entitled to do what they want. But it'll be interesting. Let's just hope it doesn't happen. Let's just hope it doesn't happen. Peter says, good evening, Gibbs, 3-0. And we need to get back to our scoring ways and a bag of cans in the Green Brigade back. I think I think the problem, it wasn't a bag of cans in the Green Brigade section. It was probably a bag of something else that was getting found in the Green Brigade section too much. That's all I'll say on that. We need 12 points for 4 games. We do. We need maximum points. If we do not get maximum points, I said at the beginning of December, I said, look, historically we always drop 2 points in December. We always have done. If you look through the stats, we always drop a point, 2 points in December. The fact that we've lost 2 games is absolutely unbelievable. Natalie says, beat Livingston, beat Dundee, then the Hunts. And then what about the game on the 2nd of January? 3 games are crucial. We need 9 points. Yep, they are. The fans usually sit there and get entertained by the Green Brigade. Yes, they do. And the fact that that's not happening now. But, right, and I'm going to... People have a dig at the Green Brigade. People say, we don't need their sectarian songs. When you look at the songs that have been absolutely bangers over the years, I just can't get enough. Right? When the whole stadium sings that. When the whole stadium sings Grace. When the whole stadium sings Grace. A rebel song. And they said, don't bring the Irish songs into... The whole stadium sang Grace, and it was absolutely fantastic. The whole Discoland, the whole crowd sings Discoland. All these songs that are made by the Green Brigade, 67 in the heat of Lisbon, penned by the Green Brigade. The whole stadium sings it. The whole board needs to get back in the team this weekend. One game at a time, says Porkchop. Yep, everyone's saying that we need 12 points. We need maximum points from the next games. Barry fans change when Rodgers came back. Don't dodge it. The fans didn't change when Rodgers came back. The fans changed a long time ago. Even under the last manager, there wasn't the whole stadium singing. So there'll be fans that have been displeased about Brendan coming back. I said, let's give him until this time of year. He's had till this time of year, and he's not had pass marks. As simple as that. He needs to come out. He needs to get this team coming out, fighting over the next couple of games until the winter break. Be interesting to see where they're going on the winter break. It's never came out yet what they're actually doing for the winter break, which is a bit unusual because it's usually out before now. Celtic are real life for me. Yep, they are for me also. The Green Brigade need to suck up and agree to no fireworks, no threats to staff. Blame them. The team that is suffering. Only Green Brigade can change as the board won't. There has to be some common ground met between both sets. Saturday performance will show us what the team is made of. Oh, Jesus. I think, Chill Pillar, you just ruined the weekend. You just ruined the weekend. Kaiser's going to get one of the last comments. Celtic is ensure 45% of season book holders are under 50, then maybe 20%. Less Carnes would be a fortress again. Aye, Jesus Christ, man. You've got to remember, Kaiser, the ones that are over 50 have probably been going to Celtic for about 30, 40 years. I mean, I know quite a lot of guys that are over 50 that go to the games, and they've been going since they were teenagers. They're Celtic through and through. They go to every away game, they go to every home game. They spend a crazy amount of money going home and away every week. They go to all the European away games. You know, and they love Celtic. And by the way, they're the first ones, if there's a Rebel night on, they're the first ones that are buying tickets for the Rebel nights. So anyway, let's jump through the comments and get to the comments that are just being up now. Jesus, there's a lot of comments, isn't there? I'm never going to be able to read all them. Kevin Kismet is in the house. He says 6-0 to Celtic. Does beating the Huns and staying top make Rodgers a hero? No, it doesn't, Martin. But what it does is it lets us go into the winter break with a bit of, let's see what the board and Brendan can do this transfer window. This is Brendan's transfer window. This is Brendan's chance to get in the quality he needs. I think it's experience. If we go out and Brendan brings in a 20-year-old midfield player, people will ask questions. But then again, he went out and bought a 19, 20-year-old odds-on Edward. And he did not too bad. So let's just see what he can do the transfer window. Let's get that over the line. Let's get the next couple of weeks out the way. Let's get all the emotion of the festivities out the way, because we drop any more points and the media will pounce on it like nobody's business, as will that mob across the road. Michael Ross is going for 7-0 this weekend. And Den, welcome to the channel, Den. He said loyal and his spreadsheets. Yes. Kenneth is saying, he says, Baz, we have to win the title because it's 8 Champions League in the new format. Yeah, 8 Champions League group games, which will mean 4 at Celtic Park. And I raise you 8-0 at the Celtic. Folk are just banter season now. Greek players, 23-year-old, have just read. The Green Brigade are back in! The Green Brigade are back in. Breaking news. This is why you stay on this channel. This is breaking news. This is breaking Celtic news. I've just had it confirmed. The Green Brigade are back in this weekend. Breaking Celtic news. This is why you have to tell everyone to watch the One Celtic Fans View lives. We always get it. We get the info first. I get it text direct to me before anyone else. They are back in. And that comes from not a member of the Green Brigade, but someone that has a lot of tickets and has a big concern. He would get information first because I know how many tickets that this guy has under him. The Green Brigades are back in. I can confirm it tonight. Yes. Utter magic. Fantastic. Yeehaw. Yes. I have had it. They are back in. So if you haven't, Green Brigade are going to party like it's 1999, says Marty. Here we go. That's it. It has been confirmed to me this evening. I seen it flash up on my screen. I do have WhatsApp on the laptop. And I did ask the question. I said, is it true the Green Brigade tickets have been taken away? The simple reply, Green Brigade back in. That's all I wanted. You know it. The guys, you heard it here first. This is why you have to tell everyone to subscribe to the channel. This is why that you have to come on these lives. We don't get the lives, we don't get the numbers that some of the bigger channels do, but these bigger channels don't get the information that I do as quick. And that's one thing. The Green Brigade are back. The boys are back. The Green Brigade are back in this weekend. Let's have no doubt about it. Right, here's another one. I was waiting on confirmation to avoid any disasters tonight, but both groups are back in on Saturday. As we just had double confirmation, so that's come from the boys. So I've had confirmation from the Green Brigade and I've had confirmation from the boys this evening. Both groups are back in this weekend. Massive, massive, massive move by Celtic. Massive move to get the team back in school. Massive that the fans back the Green Brigade in song this weekend. I can remember the last time that the group was banned years ago. And I can remember the feeling when we walked up to the stadium. And I can remember putting it out on Twitter when we walked up. And all I put out on Twitter that day was, guess who's back? And my Twitter went into meltdown. And there was media taking pictures of us as we were walking up to the ground. And the roar when we went back into the stadium was absolutely fantastic. I hope the fans get back behind each other. The fans need us. The fans, the team needs the singing. The team needs it. Anyway, what a fantastic way to end this. Peter Lawwell will have his secret police all over them. Yep. Peter Lawwell and me go back years. Anyway, get to the jungle. Searching mock chops, missed the breaking news. That's your fault, Michael. Anyway, the breaking news is tonight. I think I'll need to go out and do a video now. I'll probably jump off this and I'll do a video just so you can share the video and get it out there to as many Celtic supporters. The Green Brigade are back this evening. That is your breaking news for the One Celtic Fans View. That's why you subscribe to this channel. That is why you get the information. I can confirm I've had confirmation from the Green Brigade. They're back in, and I've had confirmation from the boys group. They were awaiting confirmation, but to avoid any disasters tonight, both groups are back in on Saturday. There has been talks tonight with Celtic, with the Green Brigade and the boys. They are back. It has been confirmed. What a scoop. You're right. What a scoop. We get it in there. Back for Christmas. Never mind Santa. We don't need Santa. We need the Green Brigade and a bag of cans. And on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around.